Nope. No, just push rod bell crank. Very conventional, Formula cars.
What are these two?
Those are your remote reservoirs for the suspension. Yeah. So, the thing with this is the bell crank has the right kind of geometry. So we can run a 200-pound spring on here, but as it compresses, the rate jumps, the spikes. So we have no sway bars in the car, but it just performs. I mean, it's dead flat, totally flat. It doesn't, pitch forward, doesn't squat. It's just flat because this is properly designed.
Oh, it's every Saturday.
But as it adjusts, we have high-speed and low-speed compression here and rebounds right here. So it makes it.
How long did it take you to get this thing passed?
Registered? Yeah, I mean, it basically takes about a month, 4 to 6 weeks. Once you know what needs to be done, it's pretty straightforward.
I put a new motor in my truck and it took me almost a year and a half. 14 visits to the barn.
I know, and that's the challenge when you go and you start putting in, when you do a powertrain swap on it.
Well, it wasn't that. It's the computer. Once you swap the computer, you're adding a new VIN number to the whole mix,
And that definitely makes for a bigger challenge.
It was unbelievably tough. I had to change everything.
Yeah.
Awesome car, though.
Thank you.
What transaction?
It's the Drakan 96. So it's out of proportion 911.
Are those LED turn signals
They are.
to the mirrors?
Yeah.
That's very cool. They're very tiny.
Just something small.
Yeah, that's about as small as I've ever seen, ever.
Well, no, they make them way smaller than that.
Than that?
Yeah.
Pretty small.
That's not that small.
The adapter's about an inch thick. Now it's inches
Probably a 930 maybe.
I forgot to ask you, what kind of motor you got in this?
It's an LS3. So Corvette, 6.2 liter V8. Yeah, so it's really powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously very light car. But the handling and the brakes are awesome, so it performs like a Formula car.
That one over there. I told you. I said 1.3 million, and I was thinking 1.3 million.
For this?
No, the Mercedes.
Oh yeah, at least, right?
What's this one going at? Are you manufacturing this?
Yeah, 100 grand.
Pretty small price for the type of performance I wouldn't get out of that.
Well, it's a kind of boutique car, so we think it's a pretty good value for what you're getting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be caught with these tires in the rain though.
Hey, just slow down, that's all. These are rain tires.
Just looking at it. Yeah.
I put them in the back of the truck. Not too bad. As long as you can heat it. It's cold or not.
I mean, look, just don't drive at 100 miles an hour in the rain. You're really fine.
Yeah. I know it would be an awful lot of fun out here for one wet time.
Take care, man. Yeah, congratulations. Great process.
Sorry. That's all right.
I can't remember it. It's just. Oh, in fact, that one has a Corvette in it. So it cracks down like a
pea shooter exhaust.
Take care. Sounds good.
Is it an upright you guys cast yourself, or is it something else?
Yeah, so they're machined actually. And they're custom designed for us. So they're the same on all four corners. So they're using the same hub. One of the things that we wanted to shine into this car is low running costs. A lot of our customers are track day guys, so you want spares. So you don't want every corner of the car to have different parts on it.
Yeah, my spec racer is the same way.
Exactly. So
Rocker arms are the same, front rear, belts are the same.
there's no question we can optimize and make it lighter, but by doing this, we,
Surfability.
you get the economy spares, right? Because our volume,
So ultimately, you're going to take it to the track, you probably take half the spares and do it otherwise.
that's right. Sure. Exactly. I mean, the brakes, the rotors are the same size in all 4 corners. I mean, obviously they're different, left side to right side with the ventures, but other than that, they literally will work in all 4 corners. Calipers are the same, they have different piston sizes. But we have, 5 try to really, make some hard decisions on it as much as we can. To make a race. It's hard to make a service. Yeah, you understand. Speed requirements. So that's definitely.
Making a car light, fast, and super expensive is not that hard. Not for mine. Who makes those decisions and how they're made?
So you made a top for this?
No top.
No top.
No top.
It's really bad when it rains in.
It is, but luckily all the interior is all marine grade upholstery, so it can take a good shower without any issues.
Or you can't take a bath.
Well, hey, if you're driving aggressively enough, you're gonna be sweating, so you need to, get washed off. It's smelly, Well, in the snow, we haven't tested, but with snow tires, I'd be willing to bet it would not be too bad. Yeah, okay. Sure. Or you park it and don't drive it in the winter, right? Well, your summer is how long? Is it 4 months? Yeah. At least in Minnesota. So.
It would be like, no. Not for sale. Got to be American GS.
Yeah, people go to Montana to register these cars too. Different types of cars. Yeah, well, it's a fun car. I mean, it's a big car. It's a go-kart with a V8. Or, odometer, oil pressure, water temp, and then fuel gauge. But we have a more race-oriented, dash. So that's this, where the tach actually scrolls up like that. Yeah, and you get more data there. Then we have like an engineering screen. And with the engineering screen, RPM is smaller, it's up here. Different parameters. We're able to look at a lot more data that we want. And what's nice about this system too, it's basically a data log.
Right.
And we can add video. They have a video system, high def video, so we can plug that in and make it real simple for customers who want to have fun. They want a data log. They want to go to the racetrack. They want to capture all their information. They want video. They want data, overlay on that. So this made it really simple for us.
A couple GoPro mounts, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, again, AIM have their own cameras, and you literally, what's nice is then, again, you can overlay the data on your video. So if you're on the track, you can see what G's you're pulling, or what the oil pressure looks like, or your speed. It's right on the video.
That's awesome. Well, very nice job.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. I love the shape of it. Everything's unique to it.
Good.
How many builds so far?
2. Yeah, we've sold 9, and we're only gonna do 10 this year.
Okay.
So we'll be done with 5 cars by the end of mid-September. Yeah, we have the next 3 chassis are finished. The next 4 bodies are done. So we're assembling. In fact, the 3rd car is being painted right now and powder coated.
All right.
So those will be back next week, and we'll start assembly on those. So that we'll have that car done, I'm sure, by the end of the month.
Right.
We're actually gonna do that car and the next car simultaneously, kind of build them together.
How many expected to be registered in California?
In California, probably 2.
Uh-huh.
Half of them are going to the East Coast.
Right.
So we've got 5 cars. Yeah, 5 are actually going to the East Coast.
And anything going overseas so far?
Nothing overseas yet.
No.
We've just kept everything domestic. I mean, I probably wouldn't do an overseas car just yet.
Right.
Because I'd rather have them all here.
Yeah.
So we can manage them. I mean, the car is really simple. We built it to be reliable, but
Still a lot of adjustment. Each driver wanted different and
Yeah.
need help with certain
but
things.
if you have a good mechanic, if you know how to work on cars, this is a very simple car to work on.
Right.
And so it really doesn't require, really any special knowledge.
Has anybody done anything to their specific LS3 or they pretty much have the same
Yeah.
engine right now and
Right
output?
now, we're telling everyone to use the standard LS3. The first 5 cars are all they're all bone stock LS3s.
Right.
And one of my customers is saying, I think I want it to rev a little higher, but you don't need it to rev any higher because it makes so much power. He hasn't driven it yet. Once he drives it, he'll understand.
Right.
The car has a overabundance of power. It doesn't need more power.
What was the rear suspension? That's all your design, or did it come out of something else?
So this chassis is actually a design that came from a company called Palatov Motorsport.
Yeah, I followed him over the years.
Okay, so we took Dennis's D2. So he's been my friend for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so he's been chasing me to help represent him. And I haven't liked the styling, and some of his configurations weren't so marketable. I mean, I like them as an engineer and as a driver, but we can't sell them because customers just are not, it's not what they want.
Yeah.
And so when he started working on the V8 powered car, the D2, I told him, okay, I'm interested in that. And so about 2.5 years ago, we signed a deal. But then we made some changes. I mean, there's some fundamental shifts to the suspension design that we've made as well.
And what were you after that he wasn't after? Because he was after time, driving extremely fast.
Yeah, and so
on his
we
track.
need that, but we need to do that in a absolutely reliable, spot-on way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
you-
videotaping all this?
No, I was videotaping the car, but yeah, the
Like, so
conversation.
your lights on.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I wanted the sound
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so hard to get accurate information on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are super excited, especially in Scandinavia. I'm Swedish.
Okay.
And the name,
Yeah.
well, that was the name of
A
our.
Saab, fighter jet, right?
Well, that was the Dragon, yeah. So that was the fighter jet from Saab. But the name itself, the Dragon, that was the fast, with the most rowers attack Viking ship they had.
Okay.
And it's Draken.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And
it means dragon
is
there
it spelled
too.
like this?
Well,
different,
the
right?
Norwegians brought it back
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
named it that because they dug up a bunch of old ships
Yeah.
the last 30 years or so.
Sure.
Because all of a sudden they got nationalistic.
Yeah,
They were afforded to be with all the oil, right?
Yes,
Nobody can say, "Oh, this is ugly. You can't get into this Viking thing."
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
ugly. So then they brought it back,
Good.
But
well,
but he doesn't have Norse background, so that's why I was
no.
really shocked
No,
with
this
the
is
name.
my name. I came up with
Oh,
it.
you came up
Yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's awesome.
My design and I mean what I wanted in a car.
Yeah.
Okay, we had to make a lot of changes to what Dennis had. 'Cause
Yes.
What his car wasn't marketable.
No.
It just isn't. It doesn't look very good. I mean, the engine bay here. I'll show you more of the car.
Yeah. Awesome.
I haven't taken the engine lid off, or let me pull that off. We designed all of this to just come off without tools.
Can I roll here too?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. And I won't publish it till you check it over.
So we just have these push buttons, so they just come right off. You can see. Yeah, very lightweight, and then just literally pop it off. A little bit. So it just comes right off. So we spent a lot of time to make the engine bay look really clean and tidy. If you look at that versus most engine bays, we've got so much junk all over there, right? And in our case, we spent a lot of time trying to hide the wiring. And, we got rid of that big plastic shroud that you find on most cars because we wanted people to see all the mechanical parts. We made no internal changes other than to the oil pan where we put a baffle system in there. We did change the valve covers to LS9 valve covers just because they're a little cooler looking. The LS3s have these bent sheet metal brackets to hold the coils that are really not that good looking. Yeah, these look cool, We flipped the oil fill over to this side. Again, these valve covers are symmetric, so you can do that. It's great. But yeah, we spent a lot of time just trying to hide things and get rid of all the mess, so you can see all the mechanical beauty of the car. You can see the suspension, the bell cranks, shocks, the reservoirs, everything. Just as a car guy, the stuff that I like to look at. I call this all man jewelry. Just the cool stuff, and you can see. It's not just a bunch of blinged out nonsense. It's functional.
So what's the biggest difference in the characteristics when you drive this on Ortega Highway in comparison to the Mono? I mean, but what do
Yeah.
you say? Like, okay, I'm getting so much here for half the money.
Yeah.
What do I lose out on?
Well, I mean, the mono is a center seat car.
Yeah.
It's hard to replicate that.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
You know, when you drive in the center of a car right down the center line, it's fantastic, and I can tell you, it's worth the money. You know, for that reason, right?
Yeah.
But this car has all the grip and power in a Canyon. You know, you definitely feel the weight difference. You know, even though this is 2,000 pounds, the mono's 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's a 25% difference, and you feel that difference. You know, now, you know, that's a difference that a lot of people won't be able to tell unless you drive light cars. If you're used to driving, you know, a heavier 3,000 pound car, 3,400 pound car, you may not tell that difference.
No.
But yeah, 2,000 is going to feel light regardless, you know. But, you know, I'm splitting hairs because I can. I drive Adams and Lotuses and Monos and this, right? So I can differentiate the, you know. And this car has tons of grip. You also feel the width of this car. I mean, it's 80 inches wide on the rear.
Right.
And the overall length of the car is the same as a Mono. It's actually about the same as a Lotus Elise. So it's a small overall length, but the rear width at 80 inches, and you can see how big these wishbones are. You know, they're designed specifically like a formula car to have lots of movement before it affects the chassis. You know, if you look at wishbones even on a Lotus that has, you know, dual wishbones like that, they're only this long. These are twice the length.
So driving regular roads, twisty,
Very
Carbon
confined.
Canyon,
Yep.
like I said, Ortega Highway,
Yep.
up in Glendora, up on the Angel there. So,
Anywhere.
oh yeah. So when this loses grip, does it slide
It does.
in
Very
a
predictably.
controlled manner, or
It does, yeah. But the grip level, you know, to lose, you know, grip from pure mechanical grip, from handling, you have to be really going fast.
Right.
Now, if you give it a little bit too much gas, okay, you can bring the rear around easily. You know, but you can feel that, you know, it gives you very good communication, so you can break the car loose if you want to without any issue.
Right.
You know, it makes plenty of torque for that reason.
What's your weight distribution?
60-40. Yeah, it's 60-40.
And in comparison to the Atom, which has, you know, an incredible following and all that,
Oh yeah.
what's the
And-
main
and
difference?
So we sell Adams, right? I've
Right.
owned an Atom since 2007. I love the car. The Ariel Atom is a rear biased car.
Yeah.
Okay, it handles like an 80s vintage 911.
Right.
Okay, the engine's way back here, right? It's all, and all its weight is here.
Yeah, it's
Yep, so-
pre-964 feel, right?
Right, exactly. And it is a car that is so much fun to drive because of that. But it scares some people because
Yeah.
it's loose, it's moving underneath you. But you feel the weight difference. I mean, an Atom feels so light, it feels so tossable. This car is just dead solid stable, you know? Whereas the Atom feels like it's moving underneath you at all times, you know? And so it's a different feeling. You know, I like it, but there's some guys that drive an Atom, it scares them because you have to know how to manage that.
Right.
And if you don't, well, then it needs to be a little intimidating. But this is a car that most people could get into and feel comfortable because it's far more stable. You know, it's like the Mono, it's very stable. It's you know, you'd think it would be a loose car, but it's not. It's very, very stable. And you reach the limit, it's bring it right over the limit, bring it right back in. You know, same thing with this car. You can bring it over the limit, bring it right back in. On the track, I mean, I've posted some videos on our blog. You'll see.
Right.
You know, and you know, I've had the car sideways and catch it, and it's, you know, sometimes, you know, by choice and other times not, but you can catch it. You know, it gives enough communication that you're not, you know, wondering, oh my God, what's going on here, you know?
So this car is,
Chromoly. It's all Chromoly 2 chassis.
so
Yeah.
this car is more like the choice of Steve McQueen or Parnelli Jones,
Yes.
if they were going to go out on the track.
Yeah.
Because they always wanted, you know, maybe
Lots of power.
maybe a lady there next to them too, right?
Yeah, right. They wanted to lay down rubber from corner to corner, right?
Yeah.
What was that? That was Donahue, David Donahue, right? That was his quote, famous quote.
Yeah.
It has enough power and I can lay down rubber from one corner to the next, right?
Yeah, it's a lovely thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
almost better comment than you can never have too much power.
Yeah, and this car has an abundance of power. This is a powerful car. You know, because again, it's so light. You know, and it just.
So, you know, again, the spec on this engine, power, torque, where are you at right now?
So 430 horsepower,
Right.
424 foot-pounds of torque. So it's bone stock. We've not done anything to the interior, just to the inside of the engines, just as delivered from Chevy. You know, we buy the crate motor from them, and it's that simple. You know, our feeling is we don't need any more power. You know, customers that want more power, well, luckily,
How are you
LS,
gonna
there's so
put it
many
down?
options. Yeah, how are you gonna put it down? I mean, the thing is, there are some guys, of course, that are talented enough. They might want more power, but if they want it, you change a cam in this thing, bang! I think it's 75 horsepower, just like that, easy. You know, 500 horsepower, naturally aspirated. You're talking about now a car that's going to be so reliable. You know that because for us, performance, reliability. You know, these were very, very important. You know, characteristics for us.
Equally driven, like a guy like me who is not a professional driver.
Yeah.
Take this out, drive 3,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise, service cost in comparison to the mono, where am I at with this?
So, you know, this is an LS motor. I mean, you change the oil, fix it with a hammer. It's dead reliable.
But brakes and everything is a lot more affordable on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's these brakes will last all season. You know,
Right.
you take a normal car like a Corvette or a Mustang or an M3 or whatever, and after 2 weekends you need new brakes. This car all season you can run with the same brakes.
Yeah.
So we wanted the running cost to be very low. That was very, very specific for us to make sure. You know, the mono is a formula car. Okay, there's no way around it. It's a formula car. You have to be ready for formula car maintenance. Not necessarily the powertrain; those are pretty reliable, but you have to check every nut and bolt. You know, everything rattles loose on that car. You have to make sure everything is tight every time you drive the car, because it will come apart. The engine is hard mounted on the mono, so the car vibrates like crazy. This car is super smooth. It's not buzzy like that. And in fact, our test driver, that was one of his biggest first comments. Like, wow, this thing's much smoother than I expected. I was expecting it to be much more buzzy, you know, like a motorcycle.
So one stepping out of an Elise, for example,
Yeah.
with the blower on there and
Yeah.
the 3.5. What's
Yeah.
the biggest difference between that car and this going up a canyon?
So this car has more power than you know what to do with, right?
Yeah.
And so they weigh the same. You know, the handling characteristics are very, very similar. This car, you'll feel the width of this car. You know, you'll feel that rear width. But because the powertrain is longitudinal, the balance is superb. You know, when you have a transverse mounted engine, the engine's fighting, you in the direction of movement, right? This car is moving in the same direction right down the center line. So, it's faster than Elise. I mean, watch my blog, or, the video on my blog of me on the track. You'll see
Right.
me pass a couple of Lotuses.
Right.
And one is, he was like I'd say intermediate driver. The other guy was a very advanced driver. I'd argue he's a better driver than I am.
I mean, you guys even helped most of these guys to race these
Oh, yeah.
Lotuses, so
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
you-
really
you-
know them well.
Oh yeah. We have been for 12 years now. You
Yeah.
know, it's we have a race shop at Spring Mountain, so that's where we do all our development work. And so the handling, the performance, this stuff is pretty important to me. I don't do this for bling. This is not a bling exercise.
No.
It's got to look cool. I do like cool stuff, but
Sure.
the performance has to be there, and this car has.
Yeah, the status got to be there good enough, so you don't mind going out there and watch a little extra.
Yeah.
And if the wife kicks you out of the house, you can sleep next to it at night and then go back in with a smile and say, "Honey, I'm sorry."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.